Okay, I think that's rolling nicely. What's up? So, try not to read into this. Not referring to anything or anyone that much. You know, every once in a while, people will say, like, make these really strange assessments of me. I'm gonna burn some sage, don't mind me. They'll have these, like, really, I think, outlandish and not quite accurate assessments? That's the word I want. Yeah, so this happens every once in a while. Whatever. There's a lot of sage coming through over there. Maybe I should move it out of frame. Some of you just really can't tell what's going on with me, and I guess that's a good thing, right? Sometimes I will like try to overcompensate or deflect from maybe stuff I don't want to address, and I want to like put on a good show, like entertain people. There was definitely something that most of the viewers did not know about for quite a while. A lot of you guys clearly have no idea when I'm joking or being sarcastic. Like, I don't know. I like getting reactions out of people, so I guess obviously from time to time that might come off as crazy because I'm literally doing something for a reaction, so you're probably gonna have to keep upping the ante for that. But me putting on a show, performing, trying to cover up pain is not the same thing as bipolar mania. Like, what the fuck? And now that has come to light, I don't need to go into details. I think we know what I'm talking about. Some people just like assumed I was just losing my mind when, you know, behavior up to some type of disturbance, mental illness, or chemical imbalance is kind of rude, number one, and dismissive, because not every behavior that someone has that you don't get is necessarily like pathological, clinical, okay? There's a couple concepts I want to talk about, and you may have even experienced some yourself. They may resonate with you. I'll probably do multi-videos, or like a couple of videos, because I think it'll be a little more cohesive that way, because there's like 4 subjects I want to tackle. I feel like they all interchangeably have applied to me at some point. But there's a concept called disenfranchised grief. Now, what is that? Mainly, you don't have like the societal, social grieving, like going to jail for a long time and coming out and feeling like detached from the world, or like you missed part of your life. It could be like a termination or something, or it could be like a miscarriage even. And of course that's sad, but people will say, oh, well, you didn't give birth to it yet, so they'll kind of minimize that. So things like that could be disenfranchised. On a social basis, on a family basis, on acquaintance, close friends, it's going to be something that's not acknowledged. It's not going to be recognized. When someone is struggling with the ability not only to process, not only to move on, they're kind of stagnant. And not just that, but it's something that typically, societally, people don't have empathy for, or they don't feel empathy is deserved. So there's a lot of weird emotions mixed with that. We might see certain like traumas as more profound without even realizing it. And that's okay. You know, that's kind of how we prioritize. But one thing that probably shouldn't be done is we really don't have the right to tell someone, like, validate, invalidate, or be like, oh, that's not a big deal, get over it. Stuff that's called emotional losses. It could be items, it could be people. We all have that one person we know that has to like one up everything, even if it's like sad ass stories, sob stories, like something horrible happens to you. You're like, oh my god, my cat died today, and then the other person's like, oh my god, my cat and my dog and my horse died, and you're like, oh my god. Like, they just always have to like take away the severity, your pain being significant or more or less significant. Like, those are like the worst people. If you're watching and you do that, everyone can't stand that. In fact, when you have friends like that, you'll notice it happens several times, and then you'll actually refrain from ever like venting to them because you know it's just going to be a sad bitch like pissing contest. And if you're struggling with some kind of suffering that's causing you basically, and this blows my mind when this happens to me because I remember everything, but when I'm like so spaced out that, you know, I'll walk in another room to get something and I'll completely forget what it was. It's gonna look a lot like regular sadness, but it's not gonna be something that you can cheer someone out of because the connection, it's not there. It's something individuals usually kind of just, they don't want to burden people with, so they just stuff it. Because like there's just so much going on with my brain that I just can't remember. Like it kills your short term basically, but that's not really the biggest one. Sometimes when you are not validated and you just have to stuff stuff away and process and act like nothing happened, the simplest way to put it is it's stuff that not everybody always will go through, you know, like, and that's kind of what makes people like, I guess, deal with it on their own. You could snap, you could deflect, you could really big and excited and loud, and that's not manic, it's just you don't want anyone to see the sadness, so you overcompensate. That's a big difference between that and manic. Like someone who I know and they like, oh, why you know, with all your drama going on and you're just drinking Moscato and playing video games. I'm like, I haven't, like, I drank like twice in like the last 2 months maybe. I'm not a drinker. Someone who doesn't really know me that well personally, but they've watched my streams enough, I guess, in their mind, they see what's really happening is I'm trying to like deflect from my personal life. Like I don't want people to notice that there's something wrong and sad. So I'm just being loud and obnoxious gaming, and I happen to have Moscato, big fucking deal. It's 5% alcohol. Because anyone who like knows me, sees me every day, knows that like I pretty much never drink because I hate the taste, but whatever. So they were like kind of implying that I was like manic or bipolar because I was like literally trying to cover up something horrible. I was really offended by that. But what I'm getting at here is even regular grief, not this like disenfranchised, just grief in general. It is not pathological. It's not a personality disorder. It's not really a chemical disorder. It's really a normal reaction to something shitty. Now, when you have something shitty that most people can't relate to, or they somehow believe you're at fault, so with that, like, it's no wonder, like, I kept that quiet. Like, there's so much stigma with that, and that made it even harder. Like, on a subconscious level, it made me feel bad, even though I didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes really fucked up shit happens. And that's another thing, too. People, unless you know anything about, like, mental health, don't go around diagnosing people. Don't go around acting like you know stuff or have you this, have you that. Like, that is so dismissive, alright? With all my drama, I've had 4 psych evaluations, okay? Or they have more traditional grievances. You can go from being social to being a hermit for a while. Psychosomatic, low self-esteem, and compared to those that can just process grief easier, don't have the capacity for a lot of empathy in a situation where someone's just super distraught over something you feel trivial. You'll be really uncomfortable or annoyed. If you have more empathy, you might be able to, you know, pacify it, even sincerely. But generally, sadness, grief, it makes us uncomfortable. It's not, like, it doesn't feel good, you know? Even if you're super emo, it doesn't feel good. Thinking about by individuals who, first of all, don't have the training to be making those claims, but sometimes we can have situations in our lives where people can make major decisions based on that, and that's not fair. Generally going to be grief that's not openly acknowledged, socially accepted, or publicly mourned. The loss of a pet, elective abortions, loss of a body part, shout out to Blade's toe, loss of personality from dementia, and loss of a loved one who's not blood related, which I think is silly because you can have people that are not blood related that are way closer than family, but just it's the way society thinks, right? We assume, oh, families are like this and these relationships will be this close or that close, and that's not really the case. Imagine when something like horrible, like unbelievable traumatic happens to you, And it's not like, you know, something that people normally will understand or sympathize. You're like re-traumatized by all of it constantly. And if you have to look like everything's okay because your normal reaction to major profound loss will be taken again as unstable, you actually don't get to process, grieve, and deal with it. You just stuff it away. And because you can't talk about it, or because it's something that society is just not going to accept or acknowledge, or they're going to be dismissive, or they're going to be like, well, you must have done something wrong for this and this to happen. There's this sympathy you need is not going to be there, whether it's legit or not, you know, and because of that, because you don't have the validation, that's going to like further perpetuate like self-loathing kind of stuff. So it's a really bad, it's like, oh, just, you know, get over it, it'll be better. And it's like, you know, people mean well when they say that, but it's like literally not. You just can't snap out of some of these things, like not instantly anyway. And establishing definitions of proper and improper mourning techniques is another way of excluding certain individuals. Like if you give them a timeline, or, oh, you have to do this or do that. Okay, so cutting off support because other people don't understand, or you'll just exclude yourself, you'll excuse yourself from support. And it will force you to kind of suppress your grief, and over time, most likely it will magnify it because it doesn't just go away. You can ignore it all you want, but it's still there. Even if you don't address it, it doesn't just go away. And so when people can't accept the fact that others may grieve and have intense emotional reactions to things that they can't quite understand, or that they can't quite believe happening because it's not a normal, horrible thing that everyone experiences. And if you have subsequent losses, like I was saying how I had like 3-4 horrible things happen this year, only human, you know. And so I have my streams or my uploads, and I love doing that, but I don't want to be like, hey guys, feel sorry for me, all this no, I want to put on a good, you know, performance and like be high energy and entertaining. And sometimes when I'm feeling like really bad, I'll just like try really hard to hide that. And that does not make someone crazy, that does not make someone chemically imbalanced. Like, I'm so triggered that someone had the nerve to say that to me. It's a normal reaction to not so normal shitty things, and we do what we got to do to keep on trucking. I hate that phrase. I'm gonna edit that out. If you think this is happening, is since there's not like a normal traditional necessarily like ritual healing kind of thing you can do, you can find something that works for you, because you want to basically, it's not, you're not gonna just get over it, but you want like a more emotional equilibrium, and you want to be able to eventually have like fond memories of whatever you lost, and not just immediately be like broken down, shut down, walk into another room and don't remember why you went in there. If that's still happening, it's because you're not processing it, because you can't, won't, or both. Come up with your own ritual or ceremonial, whatever you got to do to kind of honor that and what it meant to you. And that's something you can do that might help. I recently did something that a lot of people think is absolutely crazy on social media, and I'm not going to get into what it was or why I did it, but I think there was a greater good to it, even though it didn't make sense to a lot of you. So on that note, that concludes this video.